Okay guys, I discovered the latest infinite loop in Standard, and it involves Inexorable Tide and Urza's Saga. You don't need a Core Moon Gauntlet, but it kind of helps to have. All you need is Inexorable Tide and Urza's Saga, and enough loyalty to trigger this ability to make it so that whenever you fetch an artifact card, it gains full mana. So fetch the first artifact card from your library, it gains mana equal to the amount of loyalty you have. And because whenever you cast a card, you proliferate, that means every time you proliferate, you're triggering Urza's Saga. So you're going to fetch it a card every time you cast another card, you're going to fetch an artifact card. So it just feeds upon itself. And so you're going to be able to fetch an artifact, give it full mana, such as a Core Moon Gauntlet, or some of your artifact creatures. Blade Coil Serpent has haste, so that's a really good card to grab. But I also really like Hulking Metamorph because you're just going to be able to buff your Blade Coil until you're ready to swing for the win. But you can make it go as long as you want. And then there's a couple other cards to help things get going. So Reality Heist. This card costs 3 less for each artifact card you control. So by the time you get things going, it's going to just be grabbing your artifact cards that you want. So yeah, let's show this in action. Okay, and we got Rite of Flame, a Core Moon Gauntlet, and Hulking Metamorph. So we want to go find our 2 most important pieces as soon as possible. Mock Sapphire is a good card to have in this deck as well. It's an artifact. Get our Metamorph out. Not super crucial. So there's our Urza's Saga. Since we used our loyalty ability, we get an extra swap there. Core Moon Gauntlet. Let's see if we can get an over the top down. That would be nice. Might decide to put some fetch into this deck just to get the Inexorable Tide down quicker. Maybe something that specifically fetches enchantments. I'll look for that. That's fine. Not now. Gosh, our tide is really hidden away here. There it is. All right. Well, let's see if it will actually let us trigger there. Okay. Yeah, so get the tide down. We got the gauntlet down too, so that's also helping us do that as well. But here we go. So now this will go for pretty much as long as we want. I'll hit kicker once just so that when we proliferate, he gets buffed as well. Let's not stop the loop yet. Let's just see how long we can go until the next loop hits, all right? And if you do want to end the loop prematurely, you can get that. You can hit the Metamorph's kicker. But at this point, you can let it go as long as you want. So also what we're doing here. So if you want to break the loop, you can confirm. But if you want to just continuously buff up your blade coil, you hit not now on the first prompt, and then you select them on the second prompt. So that's a little tutorial on how to get that going. But yeah, it's not necessary to use Bolas for this. Really all you need is probably just any blue Planeswalker. I think it should work because Hulking Metamorph is blue, Blade Coil is blue, the rest of the pieces are blue. And I'll show you how to stop the loop here. You can also wait for the timer to hit. I could have stopped there, but I want to try stopping the loop by using the kicker instead. So yeah, we'll just continuously drain our mana. And there you go. Oh, well, still going. All right. Well, there we go. So that's really all there is to it. I think a Core Moon Gauntlet can also work with the Saga, but I like Inexorable Tide because you know it's going to trigger on every card casted. So could use the Gauntlet because let's look at the stats here. So when you cast a support or spell card, Proliferate, Escalate. So it's not as effective as using an Inexorable Tide. I don't think it will trigger every time because if you cast a creature, then it's not going to trigger Urza's Saga. So that's why Inexorable Tide is better. But if you don't have Inexorable Tide yet, because it is a masterpiece, and so is Urza's Saga. I mean, this is high-level collection stuff here, but it should be. And finally, a really good broken masterpiece combo in Standard. So hope that was useful for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so I thought this was going to be a short video, but I was doing a ton of testing, and I think Kasmina might be my favorite walker to use for this deck. So, or this deck archetype. So let's look at it. I used to have a toxic deck in this slot here, so that's why I have that name for this. But basically the same idea, except in order to get Urza's Saga down, we have Topiary Stomper in our deck and Talent of the Telepath to try and fetch the pieces we need a little quicker. You could use a few other cards in this slot, but I wanted to use some cards that are sort of cheap so that when we get the tide down, we can start to spam that proliferate to get to our third saga chapter of Urza Saga. So pretty self-explanatory deck there, not too different than what I already showed you. I built also a Raw deck, but it's pretty similar to my Bolas one, so I don't really need to spotlight that one. Otherwise, you could use really any other combo of blue. You can use mono blue, which is what I'm going to show you after this. So yeah, let's go ahead and pilot this deck. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Inexorable Tide, Mox Sapphire, and Hulking Metamorph. We do want to save our pieces until we have enough loyalty on the board. So, alright, we got Urza Saga, Tide, Sapphire Saga. Okay. The one thing about this combo is that you want to make sure you have a decent amount of loyalty on the board before you start to use it. Because otherwise it might just fizzle out on you. But I think at this point we might have enough to get things started for us at least. A Johnny can start just steamrolling really quickly. But I think now we can see what we got going on. That's going to set up a bunch of white matches for him. So let's go here. Nothing great. All right. Reinforce him. No kicker this time. We will just reinforce. Reinforce. He thought he had me. So there you go. So yeah, there are a lot of conditions that need to be met before you can really get that loop going. But as you can see, once it gets going, you have enough loyalty, it's almost an auto win. So one thing I wanted to see in my tests was, is this build viable in mono blue? And I have to say that it is. Using Teferi Temporal Pilgrim, he's pretty good. He's not as good as Chronoclast, but still has really solid mana gains in his colors. We got Inexorable Tide, and of course, only real difference in here, I'm using Maestro's Charm for the fetch, and then I'm using this little card, Stone Retrieval Unit, because I thought it would be kind of fun to see what happens if we spam the board with Power Stone tokens. Really, you only need 2 creatures in this build to take advantage of everything that's happening. So, Stone Retrieval Unit was more just for fun and testing purposes to see what happens. But if we had a card in Standard such as what's that one creature that converts gems to loyalty when it hits the board? We need something like that in Standard to make this combo even more speedy. But yeah, this is a pretty good build, and it's mono blue, and I'm sure I can tweak it more to make it even better, but let's show you how this goes. All right, we got Tide, we got Retrieval Unit. Let's get the Tide down after seeing what we can grab. We'll get the Charm. Grab a Saga. Draw a card, gains 5 mana, gain 2 loyalty. I like gaining loyalty, so we'll do that. Saga down? Sure. No great matches. We'll go for loyalty. We do want our loyalty. Saga. There we go. No kicker yet. But we do want to reinforce. So we could just kill with the stone retrieval unit. Our blade coil is giving us a bunch of mana as well. Let's grab cut your losses. Not that we really need it. Stone retrieval? Sure. Okay, so now we're all proliferating all of our creatures. And we'll just do this until we win. So the only reason you need these two creatures is because you only really need one of them to buff and swing for the win. Maybe in the off chance you run into somebody that's like playing a Hixus or whatever, and if you, I'm not running any defense in these decks, and so I wouldn't do that if I was actually using this in like a coalition event, because it's just a little too risky to go all in on one combo and not have any sort of defense. But I'm just doing these decks to maximize what we're spotlighting here. So let's just, for the purposes of demonstration, let's go ahead and end this. So yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty easy combo to set up. You just need 2 masterpieces and a decent amount of loyalty, but any artifact creature will work for this. I recommend obviously having one with haste, and Blade Coil is such a great card aside from this, but you already know that. I've done so many videos with Blade Coil in it. But that hulking metamorph and all the buffing that you can do with it really helps to get going pretty quickly. And then you can break the loop at any time by using the kicker, as I said before. So yeah, very lethal combo. Is it better than Jodah Rocco? I'm not totally sure, because that combo is probably just as easy to set up, if not easier, and it has a little bit more flexibility in what you can do with it. Although this one has a lot of flexibility, I'm only spotlighting those 2 cards, but any artifact with an ETB is going to be pretty killer. If you have enough loyalty, you can keep putting down, what's that new Cityscape Leveler? You can wipe out their side with that creature as well. So there's a lot of things you could do with this one as well. So I don't know, I'd say they're on par with each other. Only thing is, I'd give the edge to Jodah Rocco because the cards are a lot easier to grab, I think, than this combo. But once it rotates out, you're going to see a lot of this happening. So get on board, be prepared.